All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the world-famous Tipitinas. Thank you so much to Tipitinas for allowing us to use the space. Nick, go ahead and put the logo over my shoulder now. And I hope you're watching this on tipitinas.tv. And thank you again to nugs.net for the usage of the equipment. So nugs.net logo now. He'll add that in post, don't worry. I have a very special guest tonight, someone who I'm very excited to talk to, someone who I consider a friend, and I'm glad that he made the time to come in here. You may know him from his work with a West Coast rock reggae outfit called Revolution. You might know him from playing with Grammy's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient and funkiest bass player on the planet, George Porter Jr., and his run-in partners. And you might also know the funky electronic jazz fusion sound of his own band, Khris Royal and Dark Matter. Ladies and gentlemen, Khris Royal.
What's happening, man?
Is that a good way to call Dark? I mean, Dark Matter has a...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
it's
know
funky,
what to call
it's
it.
jazzy,
Space
it's
funk.
a little spacey. Yeah, exactly.
It evolves.
But it's cool. It's fun. I like it. Let's talk about Khris Royal. So started playing saxophone as early as 7, according to my notes.
Yep.
But not just a saxophone player. What other instruments do you play now?
So I was already playing around with the keyboards at that point. After an incident at Jazz Fest a couple of years ago with the meters, I kind of got serious about the bass.
You got serious about the bass.
I had been playing around with it, but like I bought a new bass and I was like, okay, I'm gonna practice the bass like I practice saxophone every day for a few hours. So thanks, George. It's all your fault.
Do you like being a bass player?
I love playing the bass because all the pressure is off of me. Like it's not on me to like lead the band or be in charge. I'm just in the back in the cut, holding down the foundation. But it's not about being flashy or anything. I just want to play my role as bass player and not have to be the one on top soloing or leading.
Well, I think that's one of those tricky things about bass where, I mean, it's easy to recognize a good bass player, but when someone is over the top with bass, it's one of those, hey man, wait your turn. You're not the whole thing.
Yeah, I just want to groove on the bass. I don't want to do anything flashy.
But you started playing sax early on, and that was your main instrument throughout childhood. Mm-hmm. And you went to McDonough 15?
Yep. Right there in the French Quarter. Was in kindergarten with Trombone Shorty. A lot of bad cats came from that school, man. Joe Dyson, Nicholas Payton. So many bad cats came out of that school.
And ended up going to NOCCA as well.
Right.
Okay. With who else was in NOCCA?
Let's see. You're
in a very special year. The late 90s and early 2000s. I talked about this with Big Sam. Not that NOCCA hasn't always been putting out great musicians, but there is something very special about this 6 or 7 year period in the late 90s and early 2000s. People who attended NOCCA, who are basically the real torchbearers for New Orleans music, especially in today's world. I mean, tell me a little bit about some of the people that you went to school with and how you guys influenced each other at an early age.
All right, so let me just start off by naming the people that graduated in my class, 2004. Okay. Jonathan Baptiste, Trombone Shorty.
I've heard of both of those guys.
Sullivan Fortner, and myself. We're all the class of 2004. I didn't understand what Mr. Baptiste, Elvin Baptiste, was saying. He used to always tell us, like, yo, this is the greatest single year class in NOCCA history.
So back then it was even obvious.
Yeah. I mean, I was like the straggler. Like I wanted to quit playing music.
Really?
Because these dudes are straight prodigies.
Well,
like they were already killing at ninth grade. I came and I was the one that had to sit in the practice room every day for like 8 hours just to keep up. Like, and they taught at NOCCA, they taught to their speed because I mean they had to. So I was the one playing catch up. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be anything because I was trying to chase where they were already.
Well, you say playing catch up and chase them. I think they're not the ones who are breaking new ground in their family. They came from New Orleans musical royalty, you know?
That is true.
And here you are, the actual royal himself.
Well,
was there anyone else in your family that was a musician that you had like at home that you could look up to help?
So my older cousin is kind of the reason I play music. He played organ at church and he played trombone and marching band. He was a drum major. So on the weekends, I'll follow him around when I was really young and I'll watch him at choir practice. He played at a bunch of churches, so I follow him from church to church on Saturday and Sunday and sit behind him while he was playing the organ. So that's how I started off playing keys.
Okay.
Watching him.
And that was after you'd already been playing on sax for a little bit, huh?
No, this is before.
Oh, this is when you were really little.
This is like really young.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many people always have church. You know, church is where so many people learned how to play music, and definitely where so many professional musicians probably performed in front of someone else. I mean, what is that connection? And I'm not a religious person, and I grew up Jewish, so I don't have any kind of real church background or gospel. But I think maybe I'm offering too much of an opinion in this question, but maybe it's people, you know, they're praising God, so they're really giving it their all.
Well, there's definitely a spiritual element to it. And also, like, the old hymns, man, you learn traditional European harmony from those old hymns. So it kind of sets your ear up for knowing how songs work, how music is supposed to flow within that tradition.
All right.
And, you know, most American music comes kind of from that type of harmony in a way. So I think it's that. And then, yeah, like some of the best performers come out of church because, like, if you don't feel anything, nobody wants to watch you perform if you're, like, just up there. You know, if you actually have a story to tell, that's way more engaging. So I think people who grew up playing at church have more of a story to tell. They're actually talking about something. You know, if you start playing an instrument at that age, you have a huge head start on someone who's starting in their teenage years. So, especially when you're sitting there watching people older than you that are already established on the instrument. Well,
who were your biggest influences besides your peers at NOCCA? Was there any teachers that stood out?
Oh, definitely. So the person that originally helped me get my technique together on the horn, just the fundamentals, was Kid Jordan. And then after Kid, I studied with a cat named Kirk Ford, who studied with a guy who I ended up studying with earlier. I mentioned him, Elvin Ford. Kirk Ford, another great sax player. And then Elvin Baptiste. And then, those were the cats that really helped. Oh, I can't forget Clyde Kerr.
All right.
That's the core cast that kind of shaped me in the beginning, laid the foundation.
Do you still go back and do events with NOCCA at all? Is that something that happens?
Yeah, every now and then.
Do they do a lot of alumni things?
Yeah. We do stuff for like the gala.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, something else that I think is pretty interesting that you went from NOCCA to another prominent musical school called Berkeley in Boston.
In Boston, not in California.
Not in California, yeah. Berkeley with 2 E's.
Yeah.
Or I guess there's 3 E's. Yeah.
Lee Elliott Burke.
L-E-E. Full scholarship at the age of 16, is that correct?
Yeah, they kind of messed up with that.
How so? Did you go off to college at 16?
I was 17 when I was up there. I was all on my own at 17, man. It's crazy. Yeah, they kind of messed up by giving me that full ride that early, because then all I had to do was keep a 2.5 at McMain.
All right.
Well, between McMain and NOCCA, I just needed a 2.5 to graduate it. So I would kind of cut school and not go to McMain all the time and just go straight to NOCCA and practice and listen to records.
Yeah, just keep that 2.5.
I mean, to keep a 2.5, that's nothing. So.
Well, McMain also has a pretty good musical history as far as, you know, a lot of very well-known musicians came out of McMain as well.
Nick Payton, Leon, Kid Chocolate Brown. And
pretty sure Lil Wayne even went there.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that.
But tell me a little bit about going to Boston at 17.
Man,
full ride, like were you just high on the hog, like, hey man.
It was amazing. Like, I love being around so many. The level of musicianship at NOCCA was already here. Yeah. And then to get to Boston and it was like, I suck. I just had to sit and practice every day. I practiced 8 hours a day, like religiously. I didn't have a social life. All I did was do my schoolwork and practice.
Well, were you gigging at all while you were in school?
Not the first year, but by the second year, I was playing at this spot, the historic Wally's, man. Let me tell you about Wally's. That's where I first met Nigel Hall.
All right.
So my first time going to Wally's, I was hanging out on what they call the Berkeley Beach. That's right by on 150 Mass Ave, right in front the door. They call it the Berkeley Beach because that's where everybody would be out smoking cigarettes. Okay. Even when it was a blizzard outside, everybody's outside smoking. It's kind of disgusting. But yeah, I was hanging out with some friends of mine, my big brother and sister, James Casey. James Casey plays with Trey now. And then, Nikki used to play with Dumpster Funk.
I do know Nikki, and I was going to ask you about Nikki when you first met her, actually.
Yeah, so I already knew them from going to Boston for summer camps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Berkeley summer camps?
Yeah, the 5-week camp. I did it the year before. That's when I got the scholarship.
Okay.
So we're hanging out, and it was getting late. It was probably like 9:30. I was like, cool, I'm about to go practice. They were like, nah, you should come with us. I'm like, where are y'all going? They're like, we're going to Wally's. I'm like, what the heck is a Wally's? It was like, well, Sam Kinninger is playing over there. I'm like, Sam Kinninger, the dude from Soul Live, sax player? It was like, yeah. It's like, he plays every Tuesday. You didn't know? I was like, I had no idea. I was like, I was kind of just practicing him, like learning one of his solos a little while ago. So yeah, I ended up going there, hanging out at Wally's that very first time. And from there, I ended up playing. Sam ended up going on tour with Soul Live, and I ended up playing the gig every Tuesday. And then Nikki was playing every Wednesday, and she put me in her band.
Yeah.
And my friend Andrew Marsh had Sundays, and I was playing there on Sundays. And from there, it was like I was just gigging all the time.
Yeah,
just
I mean,
being
that
at
was.
Wally's.
Did you end up staying for the full terms at Berkeley?
Nah, I didn't finish.
You didn't finish?
Nah. I took a semester off to kind of figure out if I wanted to focus on studio engineering and production, or if I wanted to stick with professional music, which was focusing on a saxophone, and I would get an hour lesson versus just a half an hour lesson if I did the other program. And I was kind of leaning towards professional music. And as I was trying to figure that out, my buddy Sean, who had just graduated the year before, hit me up saying there was a spot for me in a horn section in LA called the Regiment. And these cats, they're currently on tour with Justin Timberlake. That's his horn section.
Well, I have in my notes to ask you about the Regiment. Before we jump to LA, though, you mentioned you were thinking about studying more studio. What was it that you thought would be, hey, I want to do this, I want to get away from performance, maybe I'm meant to be behind the scenes?
I never thought of it that way. I just wanted to learn more about production.
Oh, okay. You didn't want to ditch performance.
No, it was all,
okay.
That's why I was having such a hard time deciding, because I wanted to do both. I wanted to learn the production stuff to have in addition to playing the horn.
Okay. So how long were you in Boston then at Berkeley?
About 3.5. No, it was about 3 years.
All right, so you came close. I mean,
I could finish up.
But so it was just an available job out in LA, which said, hey, I can start making money doing this right now.
I can sit here and try to learn how to do this, or I can go out here and do it and learn on the job.
Well, is the money better if you finish school? Like if you want to be an engineer
and
you go to...
I never wanted to teach, and I never wanted to be like a studio engineer. I just wanted to know enough to make good records.
Well, are schools like Berkeley then designed almost for people to stay in education or get into more of a technical aspect?
No, not at all. I think, I know a lot of people who have gone to schools like Berkeley or Full Sail for engineering that learned a ton and are doing great things in the field, not necessarily teaching.
Yeah.
But for me, I knew I didn't want to be a full-time engineer. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher, although they have invited me back to finish up and to teach. But that's not what I want to do. That's not me. Nah.
All right.
Plus, it's cold up there, man.
Yeah, no, it's cold really as hell.
Cold.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
No, it's tough.
I'll take the humidity over the snow any day.
Yeah, it's so. Let's talk about moving to LA. So a friend told you about a job that was available with the Regiment, which is
Sean,
basically
the trumpet player, Sean Eric.
All right, so they're basically like a modern day wrecking crew almost of studio musicians that were getting picked up by all these massive acts that were, hey, we're going on tour, we're doing 2 months, we need a horn section. Who do we call?
But this is before they were set up like that.
Okay, what were they like in the beginning then?
It was the beginning, so it wasn't really as established at that point.
Well, it wasn't established, but even still, with them, let me see, I wrote this down somewhere. They recorded with Ashanti, Mary J. Blige, Nelly, Erykah Badu, Neo. Like you said, they tour with people like... I
don't know if we recorded with Erykah, but everyone
Someone
else.
is lying on Wikipedia or something then. Tell me a little bit more about that act.
Man, it was cool, man. It was like being in the studio, writing parts on the fly like that. Like, I loved it. It was really cool. I remember the first day that we did a session with Mary J, and I was sitting there. She was late, so I was sitting at the piano like working on my own stuff, and she walked in and introduced herself. It's like, "Oh, so you're my piano player for the day?" I'm like, "Actually, nah, I'm the
Play
sax player.
saxophone, yeah.
I'm just killing some time." Yeah, nah, I loved it out there. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from this producer. He goes by the name of Nephew, Ron Fuster. He produced a lot of stuff for Neo. We did a lot of work with him.
Who were some of the other acts that you got to record with?
You named pretty much all the ones I remember. Like, I wasn't out there but like a year.
It was only a year? Okay.
That was all within a year.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you get taken out on the road with any of these groups?
Nah.
No, it was mostly just studio?
We were working with Fantasia a little bit at that time. That was it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so you're only out there a year, but then after a year there, you ended up coming back home.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, because I feel like I read a story that you came home for Jazz Fest, and while you were gone, they replaced you.
Oh, you
true?
heard about that story?
I mean, I didn't hear about it. I read
They
it,
didn't
so it's gotta be
replace
true.
me, but so
It's okay.
they tried to replace me, and
Right.
I was like, well, I'm already having so much fun being home, and I don't necessarily just want to be a pop horn section guy, so I was already thinking about coming back home. So if y'all are gonna make it easy, I was already gonna give you 2 months to find someone else, but I'm out next week, so I went home, packed up my stuff, and came back
So
here.
you had pretty much decided that you were going to start looking for something new already.
Not something new. I wanted to be home, and we were just playing horn parts, which is cool. It's an art form. Like, it takes a lot of dedication, but I had so much other stuff in my head that I wanted to do. Kind of the same reason I stopped playing with Revolution. I don't want to get stuck doing one thing for too long. Like, the ADD in me, it doesn't work.
Well, early on, what was a lot of the music, like when you were a teenager? What kind of stuff? I mean, obviously, jazz is probably what you're studying more often than not. Was it just jazz? Was there other stuff that you were
No, I mean,
really...
I'm from New Orleans, so we were playing funk. I mean, I had friends that were playing with Los Hombres Calientes, so like I was listening to a lot of that and trying to check out where they were coming from, learn about the clave. Man, I was playing classical music. Alvin Baptiste had me playing a bunch of classical stuff. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to check out as much music as possible. And then on my own, I was already like producing hip hop stuff with Mike Bass.
Mike Bass. We all know Mike Bass.
Story for another time.
We all know Mike Bass. Don't worry.
What up, Mike? Love you, bro.
But this was probably what, 2008, 2009?
It was 2007.
2007?
2008.
All right.
Yeah.
But had you formed Dark Matter?
No,
then?
Dark Matter didn't come around till like
Say-
2009.
I was going to say maybe 2010 or maybe 2010, only because you did that first album came out in 2011. Dark Matter 1, or I, as it's known.
Yeah, I think
Again,
we
the
started
internet
playing
told me
that.
2011.
We started playing on Frenchmen at the Blue Now every Wednesday, I believe, 09, October 26th, I believe.
How were you staying busy before you ended up forming Dark Matter?
Man, I was really busy, actually. There was this spot called Laziza, and I was playing there basically 3 nights a week. I had a band with Sasha.
Mazakowski?
And we played a lot of Brazilian stuff on Tuesdays, I think. And then there was the beginning of Pat Casey and the New Sound, I want to say, that was playing on Wednesdays at Laziza. And then on Fridays, I was kind of leading my own thing for the early set at Laziza, and then playing the late set. Who was I doing that late set with? I think it might have been Steve Walker or somebody. And then Delphio started his big band.
All right.
So I started doing Wednesdays
That's
with him.
Delphio Marsalis. You should say their last names for people. This is educational,
Sorry,
man.
I mean, I'm talking to you. So,
Not just talking to me, talking to the world. Talking to the world.
So I started playing at Snug every Wednesday with Delphio, and around that time, my friend Brittany at Blue Now invited me. At the time, she was booking different bands every week at Blue Now. She invited me to do a week, so I called Alvin Ford. I think it was Eric Vogel, Kyle Roussel, and Danny Abel. I think that's who it was.
And wait, what year was this again?
09.
All right, so
2009.
you just mentioned 3 guys that were in a band that I love to bring up whenever possible. After Katrina and probably right before 09, there was a band called Groove Sect, which was one of my favorite long gone bands of New Orleans.
Yeah, I remember getting the call the day of the gig. here at Tipitina's, they were playing with Fred Wesley and Leo Nozzatelli, and the sax player quit. And they needed a sax player that day.
Do we say who that was? I don't
I'm not
remember.
gonna put it.
They didn't have a permanent,
people know Sully.
They didn't have a permanent sax player.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and he quit that day, and Danny called me up like, "Yo, can you make this gig tonight? Here's the music." I'm like, "Okay." But
when you're on that bill, you just stand behind Leo and Fred Wesley and try and keep up. Yeah.
But anyway, so I did that gig at Blue Nile, and it went so well. Brittany was like, "Yo, you should just play here every Wednesday." So that began the residency, and we did that for maybe 3 or 4 years. Maybe longer than that. I think it was about 3 or 4 years. And that was the beginning of Dark Matter.
Well, bringing up Dark Matter, let's talk about. You said Danny and Eric, and who else was in the original band?
Alvin Ford.
Okay.
And Kyle Russo. That was the first gig, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
has
gone on to.
Evolved a little bit. Ended up being DJ Raymond on bass.
Okay. I mean, everyone in that group has seemingly gone on to a pretty successful musical career.
Yeah, man. Everybody's eating. Yeah. It's all,
as far as the band name Dark Matter, you a science buff?
Yeah, I think I was watching Star Trek or something, and they were talking about Dark Matter.
All right, good, because I know a little bit about Dark Matter, not a whole lot.
Well, what do you know about Dark Matter?
Well, a fair amount, actually, but there's no way to actually prove its existence. It's all theoretical. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Regarding dark matter, dark energy. Seeing as how it's theorized by scientists that the mass of all matter in the universe is comprised mostly of an unidentified form of matter that is only proven by the gravitational interactions with known forms of matter, how can you explain the data that suggests the universe is expanding at an accelerated rate, even though dark energy density has remained a cosmological constant and is likely causing the acceleration? Also, if the universe has more matter than we haven't detected yet, why doesn't that cause the universe's gravity to grow stronger and slow the acceleration as it expands?
Look, man, I'm not an astrophysicist, but here's my thing. I like to think of dark matter as the force. It binds us, it holds us together.
Well,
it is kind of that energy that connects us all. That's how I
you're
look
right.
at it.
It's seemingly passing through us all the time, but still cannot be detected. Let me ask you a follow-up then. Is it possible that the missing universal mass that we call dark matter and dark energy is distributed throughout multiple dimensions? And how is it possible it can still exert gravitational force across those dimensional planes?
I think it definitely is doing all that because that's why this year is so screwed.
Oh, come on, man. That's a weak answer.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not an astrophysicist.
It took me a long time to form those questions.
I know,
and here
man.
you are,
I feel like you
blowing it off.
practiced asking. Like
I didn't
you
practice.
looked in the
Obviously, I
mirror
didn't
with that.
practice reading it. You saw me flub it out.
I don't have a good answer for that.
All right.
I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead and.
It was a good question, though.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead and send your responses or your comments to info@tipitinas.com, and we'll go ahead and theorize that on part 2 when you come back.
Okay.
And we'll do a little more homework maybe next time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we call ourselves Khris Royal and Dark Matter. You think you know a thing or two about dark matter? Jeez.
Sorry, man.
Well, that's all the time we have. So I'm kidding. Let me ask you about something else that, on a more serious note, not to get too terribly serious or too terribly political. I did see recently on CNN that W. Kamau Bell was in your house having Sunday supper in your mom's house.
Breakfast.
And was that breakfast?
Yeah, it was breakfast. We was like 6
Damn, that was
a.m. Matter of fact, the night before that I played here and I was kind of hungover.
Well, I didn't want to say anything because when we watch that show, me and my wife watch that show, not every week, but often, like we catch it pretty often. And we saw a New Orleans episode, so of course we're going to watch it. And, we caught it somewhere in the middle, but in the end, all of a sudden, you mentioned going to the Royal house. I was like, I think that's Chris's house? And sure enough, like I see you inside and holy hell, I was like, all right. Khris Royal's on CNN. Let's see what he's going to say on the camera.
Cut everything I said out.
You didn't say a single thing.
I did. I said things. They took more
it out.
important things. They kept what needed to be in.
Well, let's talk about what they were actually there for. 272. Tell me about the 272.
All right. So,
and again, as
I'll
much.
try to keep it brief.
No. Don't keep it brief. Tell the full length story. This is important. I don't want to abridge it at all.
So basically, Georgetown University was in a little financial trouble.
This is in 1838. So
Yeah,
this
but
is
I
a
got
long
my
time ago.
dates jumbled.
I wrote it down.
Cool. So they're like, "What are we gonna do? The school's gonna have to close. What are we gonna do?" We're like, "Oh, I have a bright idea. Let's sell a bunch of these slaves we have hanging out here that built the school."
Jesuit priests that owned
Yeah.
slaves to build the school. Yes.
Thanks, Vatican. So they sold these slaves, put them on a boat, sent them down to Louisiana, and that's how my family came from Maryland to here. Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit of how was this. This isn't something that y'all knew your whole lives, though, huh?
It's funny, man. I found out about the story from a New York Post article, I want to say. And I read it, I was like, man, that's really messed up. You know, this is a Catholic school owning slaves. Like, that can't
A lot of
be
people
okay.
forget about that.
Yeah, that's like not okay. And then a couple of years later, my mom mentioned to me this story, and I'm like, man, I just was reading about this. That's our family. So yeah, it's kind of outraged to find out, you know, just because the school was in debt, they sold humans. I mean, the fact that they own humans is already extremely deplorable. But yeah, that's how my family got down here. But a couple of years ago, after this all came out, I had the opportunity to go up. They named one of the halls after my great grandfather, Isaac Hawkins.
Right. Is there, again, it's something I can try and sympathize with, but not empathize with, obviously. I mean, is there any relief to learning that story in any way? And I don't mean relief, that's not even the right word.
Not at all. I mean, it just kind of makes me angry.
But it's the sort of thing that, like, if you're black in America, it's one of those things that we all have to face. Like, you come from people that were probably owned almost 100, I mean, I can't say not 100%, 99% chance that your descendants were slaves.
Well, that's the thing. People, when it comes to the conversation of reparations, a lot of people are like, well, you don't know if your ancestors were actually slaves. Well, I can trace it back. I know for a fact that my ancestors were slaves.
And that's why I said relief isn't the right word. Yeah.
On my ancestors' backs. Like, but then you want to tell me they don't owe us anything? They're making millions of dollars every year. Just their sports teams alone.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother conversation because they don't pay those kids and they're making money off of selling their jerseys and stuff.
Is it better that maybe instead of having people fight to like, no, give me money because my ancestors worked for free and now pay it back with interest? Or are we better off just trying to fight the uphill battle of trying to change a broken system? Because obviously the system's broken. Yeah, well, maybe. I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
we can have the conversation right now.
I mean,
we're not going to tackle it.
This school wouldn't exist. Georgetown would not be open right now.
It would not exist if people like your relatives
sold my family. They owe us. They owe everyone with Hawkins blood running through them. They owe us. Yeah, man. There's no way around it. Yes, the system needs to be changed as well. It's not one or the other. Both things need to happen.
Well, I've heard of possible, again, I don't think anyone should hold their breath hoping schools like Georgetown, and they're not the only ones.
They actually are trying. There's one of our cousins is going to school for free up
well,
there.
I was going to say, it's not like they're
master's.
writing checks, but there's been, I saw an article that said how they're going to at least maybe attempt to reach out to families and offer scholarships.
No, there's a lot of talks going on between the families and the school. They're doing what they can. Everything short of coming on and being like, here's a check.
Is there any time you think that we might actually get to reckon with this in a place like New Orleans? In a place like New Orleans that is more than 50% black, when the majority of this city has been suffering for so long at the hands of few. When it was built in,
It's too late, man.
Is it too late?
It's condos popping up everywhere, man. It's like after Katrina, after they drove all the black people to Houston and Dallas, in Atlanta and tore down the projects.
Well, it's even older than that. I mean, when they put in I-10, you know,
Yeah.
and when they built the Armstrong Park the way that they built it,
Yep, it destroyed that entire community. It's like,
and it seemingly has not even since Katrina. There's
It's funny
more
'cause-
evidence of that.
and you have all these people moving here because, I love New Orleans. I love the music. I love the food. I love the culture. Then they move here, and then the people that
And they
make
call
the
it noise
food and the
complaints.
culture, like, they're complaining because there's a second line. Or they're complaining because somebody's selling food on the corner. I'm like, yo, you came here for the food.
Yeah,
this
this
is
has been
Yakami.
happening for
This is what
300
people
years.
eat
Yeah.
after at the second line. Like, why did you come here if you don't want to be a part of the culture? You just want to sit up there in your fancy new condo and have peace and quiet. You could have went to Brooklyn for that.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, they're doing the same thing in Brooklyn too, right?
Exactly. I miss the Funky, but man, I had a lot of good times in that spot. I used to go there every Sunday night and watch Sam. Definitely was some formative years in my musical development in that place.
What was the first club you played at? You said, you know, obviously you played Blue Nile early on when you went to school and came back, but were you playing clubs in high school or anything like that?
Yeah, I was hanging out at Funky Bud and Donna's. Not Donna so much, but definitely Funky Bud whenever I could sneak out the house. I used to play at this spot called the Fine Arts Center. I can't even remember where it was. I think it was on First and Carondelet. My band used to play like a brunch over there.
Yeah.
And then I would go hang out in there on Friday nights because James Rivers used to play there every Friday.
What do you miss most about those early days?
Man, just being able to hang out with the older cats, you know, it was so different, man. It feels weird to say, but it was like real New Orleans back then. Now it's like when you go out to see music, it's mostly people from out of town, and they don't really care about the New Orleans tradition so much. Even the ones that are playing traditional New Orleans music, it's kind of, they're just doing their own thing with it.
Well, sometimes I wonder if we kind of hit that threshold in New Orleans. And again, you know, I didn't grow up here, but I've lived here over half my life now. And I moved here in 2000, so I had a few really good years before Katrina came and changed everything. And now we're in a different, you know, other nightmare that we're going to have to overcome and think about it. This is another one of those like pre-this, pre-that, pre-Katrina, post-Katrina. It's going to be pre-COVID, post-COVID. But pre-Katrina, there was still that semblance, like you said, of old New Orleans, where those old guys that were all those jazz cats from the 20s and 30s were finally starting to like, oh man, there's almost none of them left.
Yeah.
And here we are, 15 years after that. Not that they're just dropping necessarily, but we've lost so many more important, iconic people. But I wonder if the city kind of hit that threshold since Katrina, I guess, sadly enough, where a place like Tipitina's used to be able to have local acts almost every night and fill it up almost every night. And now even we find ourselves like, man, we got to book these touring bands. Otherwise, people aren't going out to see as much local music anymore.
Yeah, it's always...
Is there something you attribute to that? Like what's that? And here's the other thing. The music's gotten better. Like, not that, I'm pining for the old days, like, oh, music used to be so good. The quality of music has improved every year in this town, but the perception by the people who live here do not view it as important as they used to.
No, here's the thing. I think I blame Frenchmen St in the whole setup with not charging the cover for a lot of it. And I disagree with you. I don't think the music's necessarily better, because I think right now what you have on Frenchmen St is a bunch of bands that are basically cover bands.
Well, sorry to cut you off. When I mean the music's better, I mean the music is getting stronger, and we can talk about this for a long time. So I say the music's getting better just because people like your class, like we were talking about earlier, that class of 2004, I guess, like that was a special class. And I know there's been great musicians since, but now that here we are 15 years later.
We come from a different New Orleans, though. Like, New Orleans isn't like that. Like, I look back at NOCCA now, I don't see the same type of musicians coming out of NOCCA and out of any of the schools like that. I feel like the kids that would have picked up horns and instruments aren't doing it now. It's weird. Or they are, and like what's happening, like I was about to say on Frenchmen Street, they're locked into playing basically cover music with brass bands. Instead of going out creating their own thing. They have to play, they're locked into playing music that tourists already know instead of playing original music. And I feel like that's kind of held New Orleans, the next generation of New Orleans musicians, back from being who they truly were meant to be.
Well, there's definitely something to that. And I think, and not to point the finger at Frenchmen Street, but again, in the past 10 years, Frenchmen Street turned into just a different version of Bourbon Street.
Exactly.
You know, like Bourbon Street used to be a lot of jazz clubs.
Yeah,
like,
it was all jazz clubs.
Bourbon Street was not neon lights and brightly colored drinks and beads. Like,
I mean, the meter started on Bourbon Street.
Exactly. I mean,
George
the list
playing
goes
with only
on.
3 strings.
Yeah, the list goes on of just what's happened where, you know, Bourbon Street hasn't changed much in the past 30 or 40 years, but before that, that's where that was, you know, one of those landmark places. And Frenchmen Street, I remember when I first moved here, going to see something, man, I don't remember, must have been at Apple Barrel or something, and I was like, man, this street's kind of shady. Like, I don't know if I want to walk, or like, I parked around the corner, like, someone should walk with me. I don't know if I want to be by myself, you know? It was a little stabby, you know?
Well, so think about this. Think about what I said earlier about when I came back from LA, and I was playing there every night. The type of music we were playing original music.
Yeah, it was all original music. All original music.
Yeah. You can't get away with that now.
I've talked
Not
to
unless
other
you're already
musicians.
established.
Yeah.
But what about these kids that just want to play and experiment and try something out? They don't have a place to do that anymore. We used to do that. Now, when I was coming up,
That's what Frenchmen was for.
It was Rampart.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
You know, like that's what Funky Butt and Chez Voudon and spots like that were for. We would go in there, experiment, and try things out. When I came back, that's what Frenchmen Street was. Where do kids go to play now?
I don't know. I don't know what kids do.
I don't know.
I don't know what
guess they
kids
sit at
do.
home and make electronic music, which is awesome. I'm into that too, but like, I feel like we need an outlet for kids to go out and be creative musically, where they don't have to just play stuff off the radio, which is cool. I'm not saying, you know, playing covers is whack. Like, we also mixed in covers with what we were doing with Dark Matter in the beginning.
Yeah.
We still do.
Well, there used to be a hierarchy, I think, as well, as far as in the 2000s, just, you know, since 2000 to 2011, 2012, something like that. There was almost a hierarchy. There was always, you know, clubs that didn't have a cover. There was always at least one or two. But all of a sudden, like, more rooms started promoting themselves a little bit better, and it got more national attention. It landed on other people's radars. Frenchmen Street used to be like the locals, like, quiet, like, I would go see a Dark Matter, or, you know, and then when you hear like a band like, oh damn, did you know Dirty Dozen is playing on Frenchmen Street tonight? Like, let's go see Dirty Dozen at DBA or Blue Nile or something like that.
Yeah.
It was rare that someone who was a touring musician was playing one of these places.
Right.
It used to be like you play, and I don't want to name too many names or whatever, but like you'd have to work up to the place that charged the cover.
Right.
And when you did, it was like, I'm a professional musician. I can play gigs anywhere if I can get paid to play here.
Right.
And that doesn't exist in the same way. Now it's 4 bands a day playing, you know, for pay for poor. Like they don't charge a cover, so they're giving away the bar.
You're not building a following that way.
Well, here's the other thing. You're not building good business that way, because we have a lot of bands that hit us up and like, oh, hey, you know what? We want to do a free show, or we want to do this, but we want a percentage of the bar. It's like, well, you're crazy if you think I'm giving away the bar. That's the only way we can make money. Yeah, it's the only way we get to make money. You want to get money from the bar? You get yourself a liquor license. You build a bar. You buy your liquor. You hire the people to sell drinks. Then you get to have a piece of the bar. Maybe I was totally wrong in what I said before with the quality of music is getting better. Maybe business acumen is being taught to people early on, and they're like, music is money, and if I want to do this, I need to make money.
Yeah, man. It's a different time, man. I wish there was a spot where kids could make money and just be free to experiment. That's what was so cool about when we were doing the thing at Gasa Gasa, the progression music series every Tuesday, where people could come in and just experiment. Shout out to Sasha, because that was a great thing she had going. Yeah, man.
Well, there are, I mean, some glimmers of hope, at least, when you hear that, in truth, places like the Loyola Music Program, they do a lot of good. Like, look at how much they've expanded and how many people have come from that program to go on to...
Yeah, but what about the kids from here who don't get to have the financial means to go to Loyola?
No, everyone just assumes, like, oh, they'll start a brass band or something, and then if they're any good, they get picked up. Like, I don't know what to say.
I mean, you know, you still have cats rising through the ranks that way, but I don't know. I wish there was more.
Well, what can there be?
I don't know.
Let's
maybe
figure it out now,
Tipitinas
Chris.
could have a series, a weekly thing when things pop back up, where it was like a local. I know you already have a homegrown.
Yeah,
night.
well, there's the homegrown, and here's the thing, you know, just another one of those things where it was getting tougher to find acts and not that there's a shortage of musicians, but seemingly there was a shortage. It's a free show,
right?
And there's no one, you know, of note, like it's names you haven't heard, and we would try and get people in, like, hey, here's some people that you might like.
Yeah.
Problem was, all these bands, even starting out, they're like, oh, we don't play free shows. It's like, well, you don't get to play Tipitinas. Just, you know, like, you ain't good enough to play here
I have
yet.
some ideas that we should probably talk about off.
We can talk about it off camera and whatever else.
Because that definitely needs to be cultivated.
Well, it's something that we're going to have to. And here's the other thing, you know, we have a difficulty in that, like, there's laws that allow someone that's under 18 to perform legally. If they're contracted, they get on stage, perform, get off. That is legally allowed.
The Harry Connick Jr. law.
Well, I think it's actually the Roddy Romero law.
Oh, right.
Cajun musician Roddy Romero, who is he's
harmonica
good.
player, right?
He's good.
I think
he plays guitar.
Okay.
I'm gonna get in trouble for getting that wrong. He probably plays harmonica too. But here's the thing, like, we can't let the friends in because they're not 18.
Right.
So are college kids or grown folks going to see a high school kid that they never heard of? Like, if he's got some pop, if it's someone who's already, you know, busted out, like a trombone shorty or something like that, or a Harry Connick Jr., then it's possible. But those aren't living on every corner, you know?
Right.
You can't find one of those in every neighborhood.
Yeah.
But this is, you know, I don't know if this is a good thing, but maybe it is a good thing that post-pandemic, when we finally do get to reopen, I mean, everyone in this industry is already reevaluating every single thing that you do, top to bottom. Like, we have taken a second look at all of the things that we all take for granted for all this time. And when we reopen, are people even going to enjoy coming out anymore? Like, are people, even though let's say tomorrow we wake up, and I hate to date this too much, you know, our whole goal with this was to make something that isn't niched in time. You know, this is September of 2020 for anyone watching this weeks, months, years in the future. And we're still currently under a pandemic lockdown, in theory, the way that it's being presented, and everything else is so bananas for so many months. But we're all going to have to ultimately totally reevaluate how we do everything. And let's say we wake up tomorrow and there's a vaccine and it's available at every corner store and it's free and cheap and easy. Shit. Well, even still, let's say that it's been proven 100%, whatever. Let's say there's no more virus. We wake up tomorrow, no more virus. Are people still going to want to go out in groups?
I'm not going to play nowhere.
See, there you go. There you go. And
it's going to be a minute before you see
It's going to take you some time before you're comfortable with it. How long is it going to take till the general public, even though we know, hey, you know what? If I get this, I can just go to the pharmacy and take a pill.
I'm watching the numbers, man. I'm going to see what the numbers do.
Well, even still, are people even going to want to go into rooms by the hundreds like this? Are we going to get hundreds of people in here? Are they going to be comfortable? Are the musicians going to be comfortable?
It's going to be...
Are we just out of our comfort zone permanently now?
It's going to have to be something where it's like everyone that walks in, pays a ticket to get into Tipitinas, has to prove that they've been vaccinated.
Yeah, you get scanned with an app on your phone or whatever.
We have to have like an instant COVID test, like you're negative, and still mask up. That's the only way.
Well, even still, there's no more COVID. You're still going to wear masks when we go out?
See, I'm weird. I was already like carrying hand sanitizer, not sharing mics, bringing my own mic. You know,
but that's something you learn just from getting sick on the road. It's like, I can't afford to do that again.
Exactly.
You know? Even still here, I know we're sitting moderately close. you can't see it. There's a fan behind us just blowing any possible debris out of our faces away from each other, just so we can sit this close.
Yeah. It's still a good 4 feet.
Yeah, I mean, our faces back a little bit, whatever. But again, fan blowing debris out into the ether.
It's going to be a minute, even with a vaccine, before you'll see me out comfortably. And a long, long time before you see me just in public without a mask.
It's forever.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to look back at this video and see how things panned out.
But at least we can look back and say, like, just like, you know, the anniversary of Katrina, and you go back and see those videos, like, man, every once in a while I see something or I hear something, I get choked up all over again.
I don't look at it. I don't like to see that stuff.
It's hard.
I wish, you know how they, like, for example, when they show the murders by the cops, and they put the thing up, I think there should be a thing that you have to click. It's like, yo, this is sensitive material.
Yeah.
Know what you're about to click on. It's traumatizing me, man. I don't like seeing those pictures of the city flooded and people floating, bodies floating down streets.
No, man, it's heart-wrenching, and it's a symptom of our, you know, easy ability to communicate and transfer data to one another.
Yeah, I have a hard time posting about it. I don't like it. I don't like to talk about it.
Well, let's talk about more fun stuff.
Yeah.
The I Can't Breathe video was recently posted up, and it had a great write-up on Offbeat, and the song is strong, man. I don't know how else to put it. Just strong. Who was on that? And tell me about, I mean, obviously tell me about the writing of it, but tell me about the collaboration and putting it together.
So it was written by me and Leon Kid Chocolate Brown.
Okay.
And after we wrote it, we were trying to figure out who should sing it. And I had a couple of ideas in my head, and then I sent the demo to Nigel to check out, just to see what he thought of it. And in my head, I kind of wanted him to sing it.
You knew the whole time.
Wow.
I mean, he's got such a sweet voice.
He's like, man, who's gonna sing this? I was like, I don't know yet. He was like, man, can I sing it? I was like, I was hoping you would say that. So that kind of worked itself out. But yeah, so it's me, Leon, Big Sam, who we've been talking about a lot, my big brother. Sam, I got John Michael Bradford, my little brother, on trumpet. Elvin Ford on drums, and Danny Abel on guitar. And I played bass and keys and produced it. Bass, keys, and sax. I'm sorry.
How's the response been so far? And I know this
really
is still
good,
fresh.
Actually,
it's only
man.
been days so far.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not like a song to go out and party to. It's one of those things that you put on and it makes you think.
How has your songwriting changed in this past year?
Oh, man, it's weird because, like, you know, when Dark Matter started off, we were, like, young, and it was all about, I don't know, I was still, like, a straight-ahead jazz head in my head, and it was a lot more aggressive, and it was about what we were playing, and now the stuff I write isn't so much about what I can play, it's more about telling the story.
Okay. Is that something that you enjoy more?
Yeah, especially now as I've been using more the talk box because I can't sing.
You can fake sing.
I mean, I can scream on pitch, but I can't sing. So now I've been working with Boyfriend a lot. We've been writing some stuff.
Oh, she's phenomenal.
Yeah,
she's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but working on that song, man, it just going into that whole thing, seeing that video. And like just channeling my energy of what I was feeling into that song. I want to do more stuff like that.
Okay.
And try to make a difference with it. I was talking to Nigel about it. I was like, yeah, this is dope, but are we making a difference about just writing a song about it? Like, how can we make a difference? So that's why I've been posting, you know, I want to raise money for the ACLU and Southern Poverty Law Center and NAACP, because I'm not about just like putting out a song about this stuff and not having any action behind it. So that's my contribution to what's going on.
I think it's one of those things, you know, the musicians create the culture. You know, the musicians create the music culture, obviously. But there's a lot of musicians that are taking this time to like stop, think, what is it that we've been doing? What do we want to do? And how do we accomplish that?
Right.
And are we doing this for ourselves, or are we actually doing this to help someone else?
Right. Yeah, somebody kind of accused me of using this video to just make money. I'm like, I'm not making money from a video I posted on YouTube. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, if you watch the video, there's like things jumping in the entire time, like asking you to donate money. Like, I'm not making, this isn't about me at all.
Is that something that you have a lot of difficulty with?
What?
Does anyone ever call you out for that sort of thing before?
No, but I
was
guess
gonna say, like, I mean, is this? Well, let me put it this way: is this one time that stands out as like I'm making a statement? Like,
it's not the first time I have.
Exactly.
Go look at Dark Matter 2, song for Trevon, track 7.
Exactly. Like, this is the first time when the whole world is actually paying attention to stuff like this. And
I mean,
some
that's
people
the
are
messed up
discarding.
thing. Like, I've been writing songs about this stuff for years. Like, it's not the first time this has happened, and that's why it has to stop.
Well, it's crazy to think that someone would accuse you of that. I mean, it's not so crazy because people are stupid.
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about it. It was like, you can feel what I felt without the words. Like, you can feel like how I felt watching the officer with his knee on this man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Like, I was angry. I was hurt, I was angry, and I wanted to go up there and find him and drag him out of his home and do the same thing to him. That's how I felt.
No, and it's a difficult time we're living in, obviously.
I mean, and since this has happened, since we recorded the song, there's been 2 more.
Yeah, this is happening seemingly every day.
It always happens in clusters. That's why sometimes
day.
I think maybe it's scripted.
You think?
They're like trying to push us towards some type of race war or something.
I would think so if I didn't think that everyone running the government was so damn stupid they could ever pull something off that clever.
Yeah.
More lighthearted note. First time performing at Tipitina's. Can you remember when that was?
Man. I mean, it must have been in high school with the Tipitina's internship.
Yeah, you were a
with
Tips
Donald.
intern, that a program that used to exist here for some young people. Was Donald Harrison running it back then? He must have been, huh?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Big Chief Donald Harrison?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave off your title.
Another one
Big Chief.
of the teachers that I left him off the list, actually. I felt so bad. But yeah, Donald Harrison, like, huge influence, man. There was a period where I was trying to sound just like him, man. But first time playing at Tips.
As a real paid gig. Do you remember that?
As a real paid gig? It might have been that Groove Sect
Groove
gig.
Sect? All right. That's pretty hot. Your first time performing at Tipitina's.
I gotta look at the dates because I'm not
Leo
sure.
Nocentelli and Fred Wesley.
I think that might have
So
been
you
it.
performed at Tipitina's with the first time as a professional.
Yeah,
Could that be real?
I think that's true. I'm gonna look into that,
Damn, you should.
and I'm gonna put it in the comments below.
You've been super generous with your time, and I'm very much appreciative of it. We'll start.
It's COVID. I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's getting late. I've been here all day, though. I'm tired. Let's talk about something that we can all agree on: some food.
Okay.
And I love the shirt, gumbo and grilled cheese.
Speaking of gumbo, my mom makes the best gumbo of all
everyone's
time.
mom makes the best, except for my mom.
No, you better ask somebody.
All right.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mom's
ask
gumbo.
around. Just ask somebody.
Well, okay. Well, I'm asking you. Well, tell me about your mom's
I
gumbo.
don't eat anyone's gumbo
All
other
right.
than my mom's.
Is
Because it's always
the
trash.
seafood? Seafood? Okay. What does she put in
Yeah.
it? You don't have to give me the recipe. Just
Can't tell
me.
you, bro. Just
All right. Well, you're gonna have to
hook you
call me.
up.
You have my
I'ma hook
number.
you up.
So next time she's cooking, I'll sit outside. I will stay.
speaking of hooking you up, Bloaty, I owe you. I didn't forget. I owe you some gumbo.
And tank.
Yeah.
All right. Beyond gumbo and grilled cheese, we talk about this on every one of these interview programs.
Okay.
Stanton Moore, who's a drummer in a band called Galactic that you may have heard of.
My neighbor.
Yeah, and your neighbor, actually, who's caught rides home from you from here
Multiple
before.
times.
Yeah. At Guys, po' boy shop in the neighborhood, run by Marvin, who's totally cool, and we love Guys, love their po' boys. Stanton has his own signature po' boy.
Oh, really?
It's called the Bomb, and in the Bomb, grilled catfish, grilled shrimp, cheddar Swiss dressed.
Okay.
And a lot of people will say cheese on seafood. You should try it. It's good. It works. It actually works. It's a bit salty, but it's good. Do you have a favorite place, and what's your favorite place, that favorite spot? But more specifically, creating the Khris Royal po' boy, signature po' boy.
Ooh. I'd say my favorite spot would have to be Parkway.
That's fair. It's very well liked.
Regular shrimp dress, man. You
Really?
can't beat it. Yeah.
You gonna go all the way to Parkway just to get a regular shrimp
I used
dressed?
to live right there too,
Okay,
so that has something to do with it.
I'm driving to mid-cities
yeah.
just for a regular shrimp. There's
Yeah,
plenty
if
of
I had to go to the neighborhood, I think Guys.
Okay.
I like Guys.
That's fair. I mean, we have a lot of good ones, and I know we give them a lot of love. It's almost at a habit, and we do love them a lot.
I've been sneaking off to Adams Street.
Man, I used to go get when smoked sausage po' boy was $2.29 and a side of fries for 79 cents
And the fries were
and
gangster.
Old English 40 for $1.29 also. I used to roll out of there and have lunch for like
That's
$5.
two meals right there,
Yeah.
man. That's lunch
so
and
good.
dinner right there.
So good. That's what when I lived like off Broadway in college. Like that's where I used to go.
Yeah, man.
All right. So what do you get at Adams?
Shrimp.
Just fresh.
I love shrimp.
All right. So that's
Yeah.
your go-to po' boy is a shrimp.
Shrimp.
From almost anywhere in town, seemingly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I really miss jeans.
Yeah.
Coming off of Frenchmen Street, get a hot sausage.
Open all night, right?
Man, I miss it. Man, you see some stuff in there late at night too. You go in there like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, dude, that intersection is just a special intersection of like people
Yeah.
could be coming from anywhere and end up right
I
there.
really miss that place, man.
Okay. Well, we're gonna build a Khris Royal. What's on the Khris Royal?
Oh,
Is it a Royal with cheese?
this interview's over.
Yeah, all right, that's fair.
That,
I'm sorry.
Really,
is
bro?
that bad?
really, bro.
Bad? Come on, man, that was kind of funny.
Really, bro. Man, my dad. This would be cool. My dad does these really, really bomb barbecue shrimp.
All right.
It would be cool.
I do like
Try that
barbecue
out
shrimp on a po' boy.
boy. I've never had it, but I think
Oh, for real?
that
oh,
might
man.
be something need to look into.
Well, let me ask you this: since you're talking about your mom's gumbo, is it possible to do some kind of po' boy with some gumbo drizzled on it instead of
Ooh,
dressing it?
Definitely.
Like you could do maybe skip the lettuce, tomato.
I'm thinking a Dunkin' situation.
Yeah, like a French
like
dip
a French,
style.
yeah, exactly. You remember mine.
That could be
Actually,
good.
that would be really good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'd go barbecue shrimp dipping it in a gumbo. It would almost have to be something fried, like a fried shrimp
Yeah.
dipping in a gumbo would be good. Even a fried catfish or something like that, or soft shell crab.
Yeah.
One of those. Come on, you got to come up with
I
it,
don't
not
know.
me.
I'm
I don't
thinking.
know.
I don't know yet. It's gonna take
Sorry
me a
to put you
second.
on the spot. My God, I
Yeah.
didn't think it'd be so hard.
I mean, I guess I gotta go with my favorite. I love just a shrimp po' boy dress. You could dump that in some gumbo, right?
I guess.
Wouldn't that be gangster? I think that would be pretty good.
Yes, I was hoping for something crazy out of you.
I don't want anything crazy. I want something that's gonna be good.
All right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, again, thank you so much. Oh, something else I wanted to ask you. Tell the people how you've been spending your time during COVID. What have you
Oh.
been doing? What's the new content material aside from the I Can't Breathe video,
Yeah,
which if you haven't seen it, watch it, donate to the ACLU and NAACP, Southern Poverty Law Center,
Yeah.
all those great organizations. It's
Please
to
do.
benefit them, and they do great work. What can people catch you doing in the past months?
Basically, for the last 5 months, I've been streaming. I built the stream room in my house.
Okay.
So I stream live music. It's a solo set, kind of electronic-ish, every Friday from 8 to 9. And then after that, I DJ just straight funk stuff, only on Twitch. So the first part of the set, you can find it on YouTube, Live, Facebook Live, and all of that stuff. But then I kill those feeds and I just DJ because,
All right.
they don't really want you to DJ on Facebook and YouTube. And then I just DJ funk music all night on Fridays. And
All
then
right.
on Sundays, I DJ kind of a chill vibes for you to relax to set 8 p.m. on Twitch. And then every Wednesday, I kind of do like a it's kind of evolving into an old school New Orleans hip hop night.
All right.
It's just a bunch of like DJ Jubilee, Partners in Crime,
I was going to ask you, who's your favorite old school New Orleans hip hop?
No Limit, and Cash Money, all of that. So yeah, I've just been staying busy streaming because those are the nights that I was already working. I was doing Sunday nights at Spotted Cat with Pat Casey, doing Wednesday night at Taps with Kevin Morris at Uptown Productions, and then on the weekends I have various gigs. So I kind of wanted to stay in shape with, feeling like I have a gig, I have a purpose in life, something to go do. So it was kind of more for myself than it was for the people tuning in. And, it was rolling really hard until I got sick a couple of months ago. I was in the hospital.
I forgot to ask you about that. And I wanted to.
So it was rolling really strong up until that point. And I'm kind of building it back. But I don't know if I want to do it, the playing part, every week. I think I'm going to do it every other week. And then every other time I do it, I want to bring in a guest.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to the whole lockdown. Then during the day, I'm just locked in the studio writing, working on the next Dark Matter record.
Dark Matter 3?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you can ponder some of these questions that I asked you earlier and give me a real response. I mean, I think there's something about that, having all that dark matter and dark energy distributed amongst, multi-dimensional planes.
I researched in it. I hit up my buddy now.
I think you should. There might be something to it. I mean, maybe that's why we can't see it.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you again so much for your time, but no one leaves here empty-handed. I do have a gift for you.
Oh, thanks.
Everyone that comes on the program gets a certificate suitable for framing. It's up to you what you do with it. I suggest you frame it because it is obviously, as titled, suitable for framing.
I'm going to scan it and put it on Facebook.
No. This is for you. This isn't for the rest of the world. And here's a folder so that you don't lose it. Go ahead and read it, though, because I love when people read it out loud, or at least just read it to themselves to see what it says.
This is a certificate suitable for framing for participation. All right, broadcast.
That's what we call the program. The all right broadcast.
All right. Thanks.
Well, the bottom line is what I like the most. Congratulations and...
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Congratulations and you're welcome.
Congratulations, guys. You made it to the end.
Dark
You're
Matter.
welcome.
Khris Royal and Dark Matter. Thank you again to the great Pete Jones in the back running lights and sound. Thank you to Tanner Logan upstairs running the cameras. Thank you to Nick Logan for doing the editing and executive producing the program. Thank you to Tipitinas. Go ahead and show the logo for Tipitinas over my shoulder. If we're going to this camera right here, I'm assuming I'm looking at this camera. Tipitinas. Tipitinas.com. Yeah. And you're watching this on Tipitinas TV. And thank you to nugs.net for letting us use the equipment. And thank you again so much for tuning in. Thank you, Khris Royal.
Bring back the basketball goal. Bring it back.
It's coming back.
We
Don't
need
worry.
it back.
It's coming back. It's coming back. Thank you, Khris. Cheers.